going on here? Ah, well, hello. Thank you. Okay, we will reintroduce ourselves.
Zach Telerik, Director of the Office of Management and Budget.
Victoria Caldwell, Acting Clerk to the Board of Commissioners.
Marilyn Brown.
Paula Brooks, County Commissioner.
Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator.
Eric Janis, Deputy County Administrator.
Chris Long, Deputy County Administrator.
Rollins Seward, Assistant Director, EDP.
And I'm Michelle Heritage with the Community Shelter Board.
Steve Gladman, Affordable Housing Trust.
Thank you for being here, and in a minute I will give the floor to Rollins Seward. We are jammed up today for sure, and I would ask that we try to stay on schedule to the best of our ability. We've got a pretty full day. If all of us and all of you could try to stay on schedule, that would be terrific. I know it's not easy. We don't give a lot of time, but go for it.
Commissioners, I'll walk you through a handout I have. The 2016 EDP budget, Community Development Division. On the cover, we have the 50th anniversary logo for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, celebrating 50
Another
years of
anniversary.
creating opportunities from 1965 to 2015. So starting on page 2, the county receives entitlement funds for 3 programs from HUD. The first program is the Community Development Block Grant Program, CDBG. The purpose of the program is to fund a variety of activities improving the lives of low and moderate income persons. The second program is the Home Investment Partnership Program, HOME. The purpose of the program is for the development of affordable housing units. The third program is the Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG. The purpose is to support homeless prevention services. We have not received our 2016 allocations. We anticipate a slight decrease in CDBG funding. Last year, we received approximately $1.8 million. We anticipate continued cuts to the home program. It's been under pressure. Last year, we received approximately $600,000. The funding level for ESG is going to be level. It's a priority for the commission, for the administration. And last year, we received approximately $160,000. On page 3, all the jurisdictions in the county are eligible to participate in our program, except for the city of Columbus. The state receives their own entitlement funding. So all the small cities, villages, and townships are part of the county's program. For the 2015 program, we are working with 36 partners to implement programs ranging from units of local government, county agencies, and nonprofits such as the Community Shelter Board and the Housing Trust. The county is fortunate to partner with high-quality partners. On page 4, 2014 program year outcomes. We have to report to the federal government all the activity that took place during the last program year, which was 2014. Our program year is April 1st through March 31st. Just to highlight some of our outcomes, for 2014, we processed over $4.2 million in payments to our partners. The county continues to be a national leader in leveraging other funds. We leverage over $7 in other funds for every $1 of county funds. We impacted 3,400 households with public services, ranging from food security to career development for the disabled. And the county provided housing assistance ranging from emergency home repair to handicap accessibility to 237 households. On page 5, our 2015 program, we're allocating approximately $4.3 million to 40 programs. The source of the funding comes from our entitlement allocation, program income, and recaptured funds. We are projected funding projects in 8 categories: affordable housing, economic development, homelessness, infrastructure, public services, fair housing, food security, and youth workforce development. On page 6, we are putting special emphasis on youth workforce this year. It's important for our low-income youth to be college-ready or career-ready. We're impacting 565 youth from some 7 projects ranging from several STEM programs, entrepreneurship, international career exploration, electrical trades, stepping off the college laptop program, and mentoring. We have mandated family engagement, college visits, and financial literacy in all our programs, and they've done a great job, especially the laptop program in Whitehall. Commissioner Brown's favorite program is doing great work. We included a program highlight on this page, the Bell family. The Bell family achieved their dream of home ownership by participating in the Individual Development Account, IDA program, sponsored by East Columbus Development Corporation is a savings and financial literacy program. The county matched the Bells family savings to purchase a home, and it was a 7-year journey for them. On page 7, 2015 program outcomes. Just to highlight a few, we plan to impact over 10,000 families, over 1,400 jobs, over 400 housing units, and over 84,000 meals will be made available. On page 8 is community engagement. Franklin County was the host and gala chair for the 50th anniversary celebration of the Ohio Conference of Community Development, OCCD. OCCD is a statewide association of entities impacted by HUD funding, including local governments. The anniversary celebration was held in July of this year and was a 12-month planning process. Highlights of the anniversary include record attendance, exceeded sponsorship goal, quality program, and a gala hosted at the State House. Other highlights include Barbara Poppy as a luncheon speaker, the host community welcomed by Commissioner Brown at the gala, and State Senator Charlita Tavares served as our MC for the gala, and she did an outstanding job. On page 9, we recognize some community partners in development, Senator George Voinovich, Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur, and the Ohio Capital Corporation for Housing. On page 10, recognition of excellence. Our department is recognized statewide and nationally for the work that we do. Our grant administrator, Mark Paxton, does an outstanding job administrating our county's program, including stimulus funds, neighborhood stabilization program funds, and our annual allocation of entitlement funds. The county has met all federal requirements, including without any findings or concerns, and this is just outstanding, all the $1 million that we funnel through our office. EDP staff represents the county on a number of boards and committees, including the Rebuilding Lives Funding Collaborative. In the last 2 years, the department has chaired a national conference and a statewide conference. In 2013 and 2015, an EDP staff person was named the Ohio Community Development Professional of the Year, and we're very proud of that. And on page 11, we have a collage illustrating that the county's programs impacts lives on a daily basis, including food security, housing, and job readiness. And that concludes my remarks.
Thanks for
Love
all you
this
do.
picture of the kids eating the greens.
Right. Our summer feeding program.
But their parents can't get them to do that at all,
Right.
no? Right.
We have a lady from Dress from Success there, and our food program. I think we do a lot of work impacting people's lives on a daily basis.
Yes, you do.
Really proud of that work.
Yeah, that's great. Good work.
You know, you say, a lot of people will say, oh, it's just the funding. It's funding for people and communities and
Right.
neighborhoods.
Changing their
which
lives for the better.
Changes their lives, yeah, absolutely. Michelle?
I brought some pictures today. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Michelle Heritage with Community Shelter Board. And you know Franklin County has been an incredible and longstanding partner with us for meeting basic human needs. We're making significant impacts together. We're rebuilding thousands of lives, and your leadership has been critical to meet the needs of our most vulnerable residents. During the last year, we responded to a significant increase in homelessness among families by opening a new family shelter and increasing diversion efforts. Families are no longer sleeping on cots in overcrowded conditions, and we are moving families through shelter very quickly. But our shelter system is like an overcrowded emergency room. It should be used only in cases of extreme crisis. A recent local report noted an over-reliance on the Community Shelter Board as the go-to system for families in crisis. The report found multiple reasons for the doubling in the number of families using homeless shelters since 2010. Those include the loss of $72 million in state benefits to poor families and adults just in the last 5 years. We're also facing a robust rental market, which is part of the prosperity of our community, but we are seeing it pricing families with very low incomes out of the market. Rents are rising while vacancy rates are decreasing. Some landlords who have rented to us over many years are now unwilling to do so. We began some immediate intervention opportunities to address the increasing number of families requesting shelter. We've sought technical assistance from leaders in our sister county, Hennepin County, Minnesota. And we have also undertook additional research on best practices to divert families seeking shelter to any other appropriate resource available to them. I want to thank Commission President Marilyn Brown, who's going to lead a task force kicking off first quarter next year. with key community leaders to identify and improve services to keep families in their homes and halt the over-reliance on the emergency shelter system. Our community should build out a response that restabilizes families long before they become homeless. Thanks to your support for our new system for single adults, we are showing promising results. More single men and women than ever can access shelter and get connected to services, allowing them to quickly restabilize in housing. This system that works to help people get a home and get their lives back together, not to facilitate continued homelessness. As hiring, training, and coordination of our navigators continues, more than 575 single men and women were assisted by navigators to move from shelter to housing in just the last 16 weeks alone. By developing permanent supportive housing, our community has a major impact in addressing long-term homelessness, saving money for jails, hospitals, and other systems, and ending the cycle of homelessness. There are over 3,000 units of supportive housing in our community for people with low incomes, and nearly 2,200 of those units are for people experiencing chronic homelessness. We have brought 643 units on in the last 5 years alone, and because of our excellent results across the system, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development awarded our community, through the Shelter Board, $1.5 million to bring on even more units this year. We will continue to work hard to bring these types of federal funds to Franklin County. And we're one of the 11 founding members of the Affordable Housing Alliance of Central Ohio, a new organization mobilizing to protect and expand affordable housing options to transform our community. We understand that you are highly invested in the homeless system, perhaps approaching the limits of your budget. We understand that you're facing multiple pressing priorities and community needs of significant value. Ours is not the only community experiencing surges in homelessness. Hawaii, Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland have all recently declared states of emergency in responding to homelessness. Across the U.S., homelessness is up 4.6% since 2013. We understand that while homelessness among families has doubled here, your resources have not. But you have entrusted us to lead a homeless system that ensures safe emergency shelter for citizens of Franklin County who truly need it. As the voice for 12,000 people experiencing homelessness, we would not be doing our job if we didn't ask for enough funding to meet the growing need. The request is $6.1 million. I want to thank each of you for your incredible support, especially Marilyn, who's willing to wear a hairnet in public. I don't think you agreed to that deal when you did it.
I
but
didn't agree to the
I don't think you agreed to the deal.
Just because
Well,
I
John.
don't need it.
But you have rolled up your sleeves and served meals, and you have spoken passionately about the need for safe shelter and affordable housing for the most vulnerable residents in Franklin County, and I want to thank you for that. I want to leave you with this image of LaToya. She's a mother of 2 young daughters and was sharing an apartment and living expenses with her sister to make ends meet. When her sister got married and had a child, LaToya found herself on her own and unable to make the rent on just one income. She came to shelter with her daughters, depressed and losing hope. But she found hope while at the shelter, along with resiliency and determination she did not know she had. With the help of Community Shelter Board and our providers, she found a new, better-paying job and quickly signed a lease on a new apartment. LaToya said that more than anything, she's looking forward to decorating her little girl's bedroom and paying her own bills. Thank you for your leadership as an integral partner in our work to rebuild the lives of more than 12,000 men, women, and children every year.
Thank you, Michelle. That picture is pretty stunning, you know. Steve.
Good afternoon, commissioners, administrators, staff. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'm going to thank the commissioners and the residents of Franklin County for the support of the Affordable Housing Trust. Today in the presentation, I'll be talking about dollars and numbers, but as Michelle said, it's really about the families, the individuals that live there, about creating this affordable housing, which is really the platform for success in our community. And we're very proud and pleased that we're able to do this work. The Affordable Housing Trust is a private nonprofit, as you know. We have 2 sources of funding, from city bed tax and from county transfer fees. The county is our largest funder, and we certainly appreciate that. What we do is actually quite simple. We loan money to developers of affordable housing. Affordable can be anything from the folks that Michelle deals with coming out of the shelter into permanent supportive housing to the other end, which is workforce housing, which we're also participate in. If you look at the handout I provided you, and the first tab captures what we do. We have made $134 million in loans since the inception in 2001 and helped create about 9,300 units of affordable housing. Really what we do is either facilitate the building of new housing, the preservation of existing housing, and facilitate our partners to give them greater capacity. The second tab is just an example of some of the newly created housing in the community. And there's a summary at the end that shows all these. These are just a couple that we selected. Poindexter Place, which is independent senior housing, which is going on the site of the old Poindexter Village, is one of those projects. That's a 30% AMI project, which is part of our requirements from the county that we meet that every year for 1/3 of the monies that we receive. Scholar House, which is dear to me since we're in the original Scholar House building. This is phase 2 of Scholar House, and this county's been very much a participant in this. This provides housing for single heads of household that have dependent children and are attending either the Ohio State University or Columbus State. The first semester, all 10 residents had over a 3-point ACUME. There's been graduations. I think 6 have graduated. One is going on to into a master's program. So it's been a very successful program. We're very excited about seeing that expand.
That's great.
The construction has begun, so if you drive by the building, there's a giant hole behind us now and down the street, so they're well underway. Under preservation, Ivywood Preservation, which is in the northeastern part of the county, is an old Section 8 deal that needed to be rehabilitated, and it received low-income housing tax credits, and they are in the process of finishing that now. Another project that's a preservation is somewhat unique. It's more on the workforce housing side. Is Stoddard, which is micro units. Pretty interesting. I don't know if John and I can climb the ladder to get to the loft as easy as some, but it's they're about 380 square feet to about 500 square feet.
Millennial housing,
They're
right?
millennial housing.
Got it.
Stoddard House was an old tax credit single room occupancy that was owned at one time by Homeport and had since changed ownership, and we were part of the financing for the recreation of that. And there's also a restaurant going in, so there's a retail aspect of this building on the
Is it a micro restaurant?
It's not a micro restaurant. It's actually quite large. They use historic facade credits for this, and so it was an innovative way of financing it. It also slowed down the rehabilitation a little bit because they wanted to change the restaurant entry, and they had to go through a long process, and ultimately they didn't get the little patio that they wanted, but they are well underway. The other housing preservation is something you're very much aware of, and that's the Griswold building for the downtown
These are gonna be
YWCA.
nice.
So we're very pleased to participate in that, and as any old historic building, it's had its challenges, but I think they've worked through them all, and they're making progress towards getting that completed. They've relocated numerous residents, and Michelle's more knowledgeable about that, and I am continuing that service while they're doing the renovation of that project. The last 2 pages under the 4th tab are the total loans that we've done this year. And we talk about loans that we originate, loans that we close. Unlike a lot of programs, we don't have a clean year, and it's a continuing enterprise. And so we make commitments one year, we might close them the next, or even the following year sometimes. This year, we closed about $13 million worth of loans and did another $10 million in commitments. So that's $24 million. So we get about $3 million from the county and about $1.25 million, $1.5 million from the city, but we do $24 million worth of loans. And the way we do that is we loan it out and we get it back. And so we continue to rotate this capital. We're about $50 million capitalized now. And so the greater the capitalization, the more innovative we can be, the longer term financing, the more impactful these loans will be over time. Every year I asked Dr. Bill Lafayette to do a financial analysis to come to these numbers. Bill doing it gives a lot more credibility than Steve doing it, so we have him do that. And you can see that the impacts that we have, both on the total dollars invested, and then on the last page it really shows the employees, the direct, the indirect, and the suppliers. And the additional thing I point out about the economic impact is this is real estate. It does not go anywhere. These services are not outsourced. There's ongoing management jobs, there's ongoing maintenance issues, there's ongoing supply. So these are things that stay here. The income tax is paid here, the sales tax is paid here. These are not tax exempt properties, and so there is an economic impact that's through the construction phase and then ongoing. So besides the economic impact, as I said before, it provides affordable housing for folks that truly need it. And as Michelle indicated earlier, we're just scratching the surface of what our need is. And we're hopefully we'll find more innovative ways of doing this, but we'll continue to do the work, and we appreciate the support.
Well, Steve, to your point, there's more we need to do. It would help Michelle's constituency and Rollins' constituency. How do we get to that 54,000 units deficit that we keep hearing about as commissioners in low and moderate income housing? The market really generally dictates. We help it a little bit sometimes with organizations like yours, but how are we going to fill that large need, 54,000, which just plays right into the homeless problem completely? And it's not, as we heard, I'm glad, Michelle, you mentioned all of those other cities. They're up and coming and prosperous U.S. cities. We're all having trouble with this.
Well, if I had the answer to this, we'd probably be working on it. But I think there are many answers to this, and housing need is a continuum from the folks that Michelle sees on a daily basis to workforce housing and sort of the top of that housing burden market. So there's various ways to do it. And when we talk about 54,000 units, it doesn't have to be new units that we produce. Right. It can be existing units that are made affordable. So you could do that through a local rent subsidy as one strategy. You could look at more aggressively providing incentives for in zonings and broaden the base within.
Is that truly a need? Do we have a zoning problem?
Well, I think we have an incentive problem on redevelopment in some areas. Now, the ongoing operating costs of these projects are just like any other projects, sure. But the rents are lower. And so, obviously you have to figure out either how do you subsidize the front end on the equity, or how do you mitigate some of the operating costs. And the biggest mitigating factor on operating costs that is available is probably tax abatement, because they do pay property tax, and property tax is the largest single operating cost for property. So that would be meaningful in existing areas of the city to do redevelopment. We've done it historically only on new build and not on things that are being repurposed. So that might be a strategy. Additional sources of funds, would be needed. The market is changing. We're seeing very high equity prices for low-income housing tax credits, which is great. But as mentioned by Mr. Schimmer previously, right now the Senate's version of the home program is a 93% cut. So I think if you cut something 93%, you effectively eliminate it. And that's been the biggest source of equity subsidy for a lot of projects. So I think it's a variety of approaches. And on the high end, you get more affordable, you get better paying jobs. It's $813 is the median rents. It takes about $15 an hour to.
Could you say that it takes $15
an hour would be the housing wage. So, and that could be $15 an hour for that family. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be a $15 an hour job, but obviously as you have more people in the household, you have other financial needs as well. So moving those wages up, getting better jobs, getting stronger employment is part of the strategy. And then on the very lowest end of the affordability, for people that are 30% below MI, that are homeless, that have significant disabilities, it's other innovative sources of subsidy, in my opinion. But I think that's why the Alliance was created, to look at that, to advocate for that, to challenge for that in some ways, to try to find a solution.
Well, and maybe with the model that you're looking at, where you can combine housing with the retail, that will be an interactive model where people can work where they live and reduce their transportation costs, and hopefully it'll all work together.
Well, I think it works for not just affordable housing. We're seeing that that's what the demand is for millennials,
right.
Whether they have a lot of money or little money. My children are millennials; they have little money at this point. But
Bear with you.
but I think that that's a solution. And as you all know, the Affordable Housing Trust has applied to become a CDFI, which would give us some, I think, greater flexibility. But those mixed-use, commercial, residential, and especially in existing neighborhoods, have a lot of opportunity. And the opportunity is to attract private capital and private investors, because you all don't have unlimited resources.
So looking back 10 years ago, when the county, I was here, when we decided to set aside those transfer fees for the trust and then for the shelter, have we done enough, or do we need to think about this and try to do more right now?
Well, I think the answer for Michelle is a little bit different for us. You know, what we could do is with more funds, and we're trying to grow those funds, and that's one of the reasons we're looking at the CDFI to attract private capital. We can help on the debt side, but there's an equity piece that's needed, and there's an administrative piece that's needed. And so the solution for the trust for the debt side is more capital. There's a variety of sources to that capital. The harder part
It's the equity piece.
is the equity piece for these deals and the ongoing administrative cost to operate the shelters and the permanent supportive housing services.
Definitely. Well, we've got our work cut out for us, don't we? Thanks for hanging in there and doing such a great job.
Thanks for all your support.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ron, for your good work.